Today, our group will be presenting on the most useful professional skill we have learned outside of school, civil disagreement. In both the workplace and everyday life, disagreements are unavoidable. But how we handle them makes all the difference. Civil disagreement is the ability to express differing opinions respectfully, listening actively, and finding common ground without damaging relationships. In this presentation, we'll explain why this skill matters, how it can improve teamwork and decision making, and ways to develop it in real world situations. With that overview of civil disagreement and why it matters, I'll now pass it over to Khalik, who will introduce our first key point.
Thank you, Clayton. So, what is civil disagreement, right? Civil disagreement is going to be respectfully expressing opposing viewpoints in a conversation or an issue where two people just don't have the same solution and are just having differing perspectives on it, right? In these situations, we're going to want to focus on ideas. We don't want to get into ad hominem or personal attacks. This is about us working as a team to find the best solution. So, we're going to want to maintain professionalism, speak respectfully, consider other perspectives, and not prioritize just winning the argument or coming out ahead of the other person. That's not going to get us through our obstacles faster or get us to those objectives or goals, right? We want to focus on the disagreement at hand. When we run into comparability or arguments, that's where we're going to run into issues. The disagreement isn't the problem at that point. The disrespect that's going around is definitely going to be. So, why does this matter in business? It's because teams are going to have a ton of different perspectives. Everyone has different experiences, education, knowledge base, specific talents, right? And to really innovate, you're going to have to combine those into something new that you can use in the future, right? If we don't manage the conflict professionally and have those good relationships, it's going to lower morale. People aren't going to be happy to see each other. And that professional tone is going to impact a workplace better, where everybody feels respected, like they can contribute, and they can communicate when they need to. And strong communication is going to open up those lines, allow for more information to flow, and more information is just always going to mean better decision making, right? We're going to run into communication problems when communication becomes emotional, personal, defensive, right? Defensive tone use is going to set the stage for me versus them. We're going to get away from that us as a team versus the obstacles or problems ahead of us. And that's just not going to help, right? We can't avoid these conversations. It's going to limit growth. We need those conversations to break through, find perspectives, and get to solutions. If we get away from those types of conversations, we're going to reduce trust. People are not going to be close enough to get information that they need. And, making decisions without all the appropriate information is just never going to work. So when we're having these conversations, we want to focus on language that is beneficial, right? Telling someone that their option won't work is dismissive and it treats them as if they have no agency in solving these issues. A simple phrase like, can we explore another option, gives the ground for comparability in two options and seeing how their view holds up against maybe another possible solution. Now, in a real workplace, I'm going to pass it over to Charlotte so she can give you some real examples.
Thank you, Khalik. Outside of school, I learned that civil disagreement is essential. In the military, some of the best leaders will listen to the opinions and perspectives of others instead of just barking orders and thinking that their solution is the only one. You will often come across people who disagree with you. Handling that is important for civil dialogue. In this mini lesson, I'll explain a simple way that professionals can practice civil disagreement. It all starts with emotional awareness. In many conflicts, the problem isn't really the disagreement, it's the emotional reaction to that disagreement, right? So when someone challenges our ideas, it can feel personal. I feel like, why doesn't this person see my point of view? A helpful framework is pause, listen, and respond. First, pause before reacting so emotions don't escalate. Second, listen to understand, not just to argue. And finally, respond professionally and focus on the solutions. For example, instead of saying, that won't work, a more civil response might be, I understand your perspective, but I see a solution a little differently. Can we explore another option? That small shift in tone demonstrates emotional intelligence and professionalism. So, the business leadership and impact. When leaders model these types of behavior, they create a culture where respectful civil dialogue is encouraged. This strengthens teamwork, improves communication, and helps teams evaluate multiple perspectives to reach better decisions. Civil disagreement isn't about winning an argument, it's about strengthening the final outcome by valuing the different viewpoints. To conclude our presentation, Clayton will summarize the key takeaways and explain why this skill is essential for long term professional success.
To wrap up, we've shown that civil disagreement is one of the most valuable professional skills that you can develop outside of school. As Khalik explained, it's not about avoiding conflict, but about handling it with respect, focusing on ideas rather than individuals, and working towards shared goals. And as Charlotte highlighted, this skill has real impact in professional settings. When people listen, stay calm, and consider different perspectives, disagreements can actually lead to stronger solutions, better teamwork, and increased trust. Ultimately, civil disagreement is a sign of emotional intelligence and professionalism. It helps individuals grow, strengthens relationships, and allows organizations to make better decisions. By learning how to disagree respectfully, we're not just improving communication, we're setting ourselves up for the long term success in any career. Thank you.